Hi, welcome to DIY Fashion Rebel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to wind the bobbin using your sewing machine. Now, if you're new to sewing, then maybe bobbin doesn't make 100% sense yet. But the quick answer is that when you sew, you have two threads. You have the top thread, which comes directly off of the spool, which probably you're familiar with. And then on the bottom of your sewing machine, you'll also have a piece of thread, okay? So two threads, one on top, one on bottom. The top comes directly from the spool, easy enough, but the bottom, or the bobbin, we actually have to create ourselves. So how do you do that? You start with a bobbin, which looks like this. I'm going to throw a picture up here. And basically, it's just a short mini version of this, okay? But there's no thread on it. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put thread on this little plastic one, okay? So let me show you how to do this using your machine. Everything you need to wind your bobbin is going to be here on the top of your sewing machine, okay? And the first step is to actually grab your thread, your spool that you're going to be using, and check if either side has a notch on it. And typically that notch is used to pull the thread into it to hold it during storage. But if you find a notch, let's say that I have it on this side, you want to put the notched side of your spool on first. And that's because your thread will come off this direction, and you don't want the thread to get caught in the notch. If your spool doesn't have a notch, like mine does not, then you could put this on either direction, okay? It doesn't matter. Now, once you have the spool on your spool pin, the next thing you need to do is put a stopper on this. As you're sewing and this gets pulled, this really likes to bounce around and can fall off. Oops. So to stop that from happening, we have stoppers. There is a really huge option like this one that I have, or a little baby one. The different sizes can, okay. So the different sizes really just depend on the type of spool you're using. So you might find that this works better when you have big spools of thread, and this one works a little bit better with small ones. But honestly, I've used this one for every project and haven't had any problems. So play with them. If you're having problems with your thread getting caught or stuck, try a different one, see if that helps you. But make sure you do have one of these on, because you don't want this jumping off. So spool on your spool pin, then a spool stopper, okay? So now that we have this in position, we're going to move this direction. So let's zoom in here. Okay, now again, moving this direction, you can see here that there are these little line drawings, and there's a solid line, 1, 2, and 3 is actually down the front of my machine right here. But these solid lines are for actually threading the machine, so we're not going to follow those right now. For winding the bobbin, you typically follow the dashed lines, okay? So if I see these dashed lines, they both go through this first piece. And this is just a thread guide. So I'm going to grab my thread and pull it through this guide. I'm just gonna push it under, and you'll kind of hear it click, okay? Now, once I've gone through number 1, I'm going to go down to number 2. And you can see that 2 wants me to make a loop around this thread guide. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Loop it around, and then come over this direction because the arrow points that way. And one more time from the side. You're just going to bring your thread right in between these two plates. Okay. Loop it around, and then bring it over to number 3. So now we've gone through 1 and 2, and we're going to come all the way over here to 3. Now over here at 3, you can see my little picture of a spool. So here's mine, okay? And you see that the little dashed line goes under the spool and then comes out the top. And that's because it has this little hole. So you can kind of see it in the shadow right there. So what I want to do is take my thread, the very end of it. So I want to go on the inside and go through the little hole on the top of my spool. And grab it from the outside, pull it through. Okay? So now my thread has gone through that little hole, and if I hold my spool in the right position, like this, now it looks just like that picture, right? Okay, so I'm going to grab this thread, keep it in my finger. I'm going to take my spool and place it on top of this spool pin. And then I'm just gonna keep a gentle tension on this. So you see me pulling on it. So keep it tight, okay? I'm not pulling it, I'm not actually moving it, I'm just keeping it tight. Then I'm going to grab the silver post and I'm going to pull it towards this, which is the bobbin stopper, okay? I'm gonna pull it and you'll hear it. And you see it actually moves over this direction. Now what happens is when I move this over, I change the motor, because typically when I press the pedal down below, the needle moves. But now that I've moved this into this side position, the motor is actually going to spin this, okay? So now I'm going to hold this straight up. And then I'm going to press the pedal, and this is going to start winding. Okay, now after a little while, you're gonna notice that your thread is super, super twisted. Once you have your bobbin started, you can just cut this off, cutting as close to the bobbin as possible. Okay, and then continue winding until your bobbin is full. Once it's full, you're going to push it back into its normal resting position, pull it off, and then cut this thread. And now you have a fully wound bobbin. Yay! You did it! So now that you have both your thread and your bobbin, both threads for your sewing machine, you're ready to actually thread your machine. So if you need help with that, be sure to check the links in the description where I have how-to videos on threading both the top thread and the bobbin. And good luck on your sewing journey! If this video has helped you, please throw a like below so that way it helps other people find it too. And if you really liked hanging out with me, then I would absolutely love to have you subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be the first to know when any new sewing content hits the channel. Okay? So can't wait to help you on your sewing journey. I hope this helped you. Happy sewing!